In this video, we are going to understand how we can connect our data from Google Sheets or any other source as well into our Google Data Studio. So let's go back to our browser, and here I am in Data Studio. The URL for it is datastudio.google.com. Otherwise, you can simply make a Google search of Google Data Studio, click on the first link and arrive at the same page. Here at the top, we have different templates that we can start off with. But in this case, we will be creating a blank report. At the top, you have this button as well, which will allow you to create three things, either a report, a data source, or your Explorer. The report is the dashboard which is based on your data source. The data source is the data that you want to create a report out of. And there's something called as Explorer as well, which we are going to look at later. For now, let's focus on report and data source. You can create a report and then within the report, load up the data which is going to be used in the report. Or first, you can create the data source and then create a report which will take the data from the data source. So you can either go with report first or even data source. Both of them will be completely fine. Let's first load up our data and then create a report. So I'll be clicking on data source to insert the data or load up my data in Google Data Studio. It will ask me what data do you want to connect to. There are different options here. You can connect with a Google Sheets. That is something that we are going to do. You can upload a CSV file as well. You can connect it to Google Analytics, Google Ads, Facebook Ads, MailChimp, even MySQL. So there are tons of options here which you can go through, and whatever seems fine to you, you can connect to that as well. The process is made really, really simple by Google. In our case, let's go with Google Sheets. So let's click on Google Sheets. And here we have to select the Google Sheet that we want to get the data from. If you have different Google Sheets here, all of them will be starting to show up here. In our case, we only have one in our drive, which is the Eurostores data. So I'll be clicking on this and it will show me all the worksheets that are there in Eurostores data. We only have one worksheet in this case, which is the order data. So I'll click on this and it will ask me to put a tick mark here or choose not to put a tick mark here. The first is use first row as headers. So if your first row has headers, you need to put a tick mark here. Our first row does have headers, so I'll be keeping this tick mark. Second, do you want to include the hidden and filtered cells? So if you have filtered or hidden your data in your Google Sheets, and if you don't put a tick mark here, the data will not be loaded in Google Data Studio. If you put a tick mark here, all your data, irrespective of it being filtered in your source data, will get loaded in Google Data Studio. You can also specify a range of data that you want to load from your Google Sheets. Let's go with these two options and load up our entire data. To do that, I simply have to click on Connect and wait for Google Data Studio to connect with our Google Sheets. Once it does that, it will show you all the different columns or all the different fields that you have in your Google data sheet. So here we have different items. We have discount, profit, sales. So these are nothing but the different columns that we have in our Google sheet. Then it shows us the type of data. Google Data Studio automatically picks up the type of data that is there in that particular column. It does a pretty good job most of the times understanding the type of data that it has. If that is a wrong selection, so if you want to change something from, let's say, a number to a text, you can simply click on number and change the format from here. Right now, let's just check if everything is fine. Discount is as number, profit sales as number as well. The rest of it is category. My city is loaded as city, country as country, feedback, and all these are text items. My order date is also correctly loaded as date, and the rest of it looks fine to me. All right, so this is good. At the top, I have data credentials, which can be either owner or it can be viewers credentials. If you go with the owner, which is the default setting, anyone that you share the Google Data Studio report with can have a look at your visual and also edit it without having the permission to your Google Sheets. That is the source data. If you select the option of viewer, he or she needs to have access to the Google data sheet, that is the source data, in order to modify your report. So let's keep this as owner for now. If you want to restrict it and not have anyone have a look at your source data, you can change it to viewers credentials. For now, let's keep it as owner. Next, we have data freshness. That is, how frequently do you want to refresh your data? How frequently does Google Data Studio go back to your source data and see if there is a change made to it? The default options are 15 minutes, every hour, 4 hours, or even 12 hours. Let's keep this as default of 15 minutes. Then we have something called as community visualization access. That is, do you want to have community visualizations? We'll be looking at this later as well. So let's just keep it as on, and field editing in reports will also be on for now. Once we have this data here, we can simply go ahead and create our report. So first we have loaded the data and now we are creating our report. Let's click on create report and it will open up a new tab where our report will be loaded. Let's wait for it to load up. It will take a few seconds to load up the entire report and we will be starting from scratch. So this is, let's add the data to our report as well. And let's also click on don't show me again so that we never get this warning. This is basically Google Data Studio asking, do you want to add this data to the report? Let's do that and add the report. Once you do that, your report will be displayed here. This is the canvas, that is the place where your report or your dashboard will be shown as soon as you create a visual out of it. At the top, I have the naming sections. Right now, it's untitled report. Let's just name this to Euromart dashboard. And there we go. We simply need to click somewhere else and the name will be fixed, which is Euromart dashboard in this case. So that's it for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.